What's going on, everybody? Brett here, back on Total War Warhammer 2 on my YouTube channel, Good Talk Gaming. Today's match is going to be a 2v2 all Regiment of Renown and Hero armies on River Vilu. Pretty unique map, and I'm going to make full use of it today with my Goblin build. As you can see, all Regiments of Renown. I only took one spellcaster, just to give me a little bit of variation in things I can do in this game. My ally Triiari is going to be playing as the High Elves, and we're going to be up against the Dark Elves and the Beastmen. You can see here the Beastmen only have 181 troops, and that's because a lot of their resources went into the Eye of Morsleb, who's going to be throwing boulders at us from the very start. Guys, I'm not going to slow-mo this. I felt like yesterday's intro was extremely long. I'm going to count on you guys knowing some of the units here, and I can go over the more pertinent ones as the battle progresses. But mainly right now, Triiari is using the range superiority of the High Elves to try and counter skirmish. I've got the Goblin, the Hammer of Gork here, the Goblin Rocklobber Regiment of Renown, and I'm shooting at both the Blades of the Blood Queen, and then soon I'm going to switch over to the Bolt Fiends. But the Blades of the Blood Queen are probably the scariest infantry unit on the battlefield, and I've moved my Goblin Goon Squad here, Morgrim's Mangy Marauders with that great armor-piercing damage, the Teeth Robbers and the Death Creepers applying poison, and you can use the Goblin Wolf Chariots to try and run down any infantry that seeks to engage you. But with my skirmish mode on, I'm going to be able to kite a bit, and then eventually I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to have to manually kite these units because they are a bit too fast. The Sons of Goros especially, the Great Weapon Centaur variants, if they're able to get in and amongst these units, they will absolutely decimate them. They are extremely fast, also 95 movement speed. But if I can poison them a bit, you'll see here we're doing great damage against them. They have a Guardian aura, so they're able to protect any hero units that get close to them, but they're taking so much fire on the retreat here that we're doing that they're not going to be able to close the distance. The Beastman player thinks better of trying to engage with us and is going to pull his forces back, whereas the Dark Elf player is going to be sending forward the Knights of the Ebon Claw, who are not nearly as fast, especially once I get poison applied to them from the Death Creepers. So the Heralds of the Wind, the Illyrian Reapers, they have extreme speed, 105. I think they're the fastest ground unit in the game. They can't outrun giant pieces of amber, though, and that gets slammed into them, and plenty of them will die. They don't want to get close to the Bolt Fiends. The Bolt Fiends will chew through them. They just need to sit back and do what damage they can. The Dreadlord with a sword and crossbow is also shooting, and the Raven Heralds are the ones you see doing kind of sporadic crossbow fire. They have great armor-piercing damage, but they obviously don't have the volume of fire needed to trade with skirmishers. It's mostly that Triiari is getting a bit close to these Bolt Fiends that's allowing them to counter skirmish. If I was him, I'd probably just be trying to pick apart the infantry and leave all this ranged pressure alone. Make it so that when they finally need to advance, they do so from a position that doesn't allow them to engage our infantry comfortably. So my front line is the 8 Peak Loonies, as well as the Warlord's Boys, the 2 Night Goblin Regiments of Renown, and then the Crimson Killers here in the center, who will absolutely destroy any infantry unit on this side of the battlefield, especially the Blades of the Blood Queen, since they have been decimated. And I'm still shooting at them for now. They're almost gone, to be fair. The Sisters of Avalorn are absolutely tearing up the Chill of Sontar, and they do fire damage as well as magical damage, but the fire damage is going to be very relevant because the Chill of Sontar has regen, and that does extra damage to him. I've moved back with my Moon Howlers and my Durkit Squighoppers. I've kept them in the forest in case we get flanked, and I'm going to use them at the earliest opportunity, but I've engaged the Broken Tusk mob here. And these guys are anti-large. They hit bigger and harder, as the orcs like to say. And the Night Goblin Warboss here riding a Squig to give them that increased mobility. And since they were already damaged, we should be able to take this fight. The Wah has been popped. I popped that on my Warboss, so that as our infantry lines engaged, our team would have a bit of an advantage. So the Keepers of the Flame here getting in and amongst the Sisters of the Seeing Doom, and the Keepers of the Flame are, once again, they're top tier. We have some of the strongest infantry units in the game here fighting toe-to-toe. The Pure Main Company also nearly unbreakable, providing that Garden aura, and I've slammed into the back of the Hellebronai with the Spider Hatchlings that I've spawned from our biggest and strongest unit, which is definitely the Arachnarok Queen. She's the most expensive thing on the battlefield, I believe. I think she costs more than the Eye of Morsleb. But meanwhile, I've just been kiting these Knights of the Ebon Claw into oblivion. They've gotten a little bit of work done, but for how expensive and powerful they are, they really haven't done anything. And some of my units I'm trying to hold in reserve. I'm using my Spellcaster to try and snipe out some damage on the Dreadlord, but my Shaman is quickly going down to this Black Dragon. The Fireborn here being held in like Mega Reserve. They definitely don't want to go up against the Korok's Man-Rippers, who are the anti-large variant of the Bestigors. And they've got a pretty good surround here with this Gorbull on the Arachnarok Queen. Here come the Butchers of Kalkagard doing their huge rolls. Another Gorbull coming in. But the Broken Tusk Mob are going to be slamming in from the side to support. Once again, they are anti-large, so they're going to be able to put up a fight. And with just another Spider Summon, I should be able to kind of inundate the Arachnarok Queen in such a way that she won't be, fully surrounded. But a Death Hag here, also a pretty dangerous armor-piercing duelist, and she has plenty of her buffs and abilities. My Goblins, these guys are unbreakable. So they're able to hold this front line long enough for the Moonhowlers to get a rear charge. The Fireborn here are at full HP. Durkit Squigs, they've gotten into the back, shut down the Bolt Fiends. My Warlords boys, I'll be returning them to the fight in just a second, but the Rusty Arrows have been clutch this battle. Not a lot of kills, but they're focused on high priority targets. Right now they're looking to put tons of damage on the Dreadlord. They're lowering his armor to 50, and that's really allowing for the Broken Tusk Mob, the Arachnarok Queen, these little spider hatchlings that apply poison. That's really allowing for us to keep her trapped with the decreased speed, and then to eventually dunk her. So the Night Goblin has also been using his spells this whole time. Mostly, I was anticipating a lot of spell casting, especially from the Dark Elf player, but they didn't bring any spellcasters. So I brought the Shaman to reduce their ability recharge rate, and it ended up not being super valuable here. But the Everqueen's Court Guard is having to fight against the Gorbull in the woods, and that is not a fight that they want to take. As good as they are in melee compared to other units, that's not something they want to do. The 8-peak loonies here, just a few of them left, and they've got Morgr completely surrounded here. All the units are relatively healthy, aside from the 8-peak loonies. If he had the ability to, he should definitely consider consuming one of those units and spawning in the Chaos spawn, which I think he did a little bit earlier. Grey Shaman, Lore of Death. Jagged Dagger has been popped to give it increased recharge rate, but the battle is looking pretty close to over here. The Rusty Arrows were never quite knocked offline. Triiari's High Mage is still active and is going to be chasing the Korok Man-Rippers off the battlefield. And the Gorbulls, as strong as they are, they have no missile mitigation. Well, they have some, I should say, they have some missile mitigation. But 15% when you stack it up against the poison damage, the armor reduction that the 8-peak loonies, the Rusty Arrows are able to do, then it's not much. It's not enough. So we've got a nice little bastion of power here. Yeah, now we're just kind of blobbing them. So Tyrion was the lore choice for Triiari, and he's just sitting here taking boulders to the face. He definitely needs to get in there, but he can't because Warp Gaze has been applied. That's the special ability of the Eye of Morsleb. And even though the Eye of Morsleb was quite effective this battle, threw lots of boulders, and every time he hits, I mean, he wasn't just hitting trash tier units. You have to remember, 91 kills on all of these specialty expensive units is quite a lot. The Butchers of Kalkagard with their regen were able to stay into the fight to the very end. The Korok's Man-Rippers had no shortage of targets. Might have been better for the Beastmen player had they perhaps not gone with these Gorbulls and just got more units, more unit density. Beastmen actually have some pretty decent regiments of renown. The Dark Elf player, the Chill of Sontar, got thrown in against probably the absolutely worst two units it could have, and those were the Everqueen's Court Guard, the most dangerous archer unit in the game who does fire damage, and the Fireborn, who are at perfect health, and they do fire damage as well, and they also are anti-large specialists. So not great use of the Chill of Sontar. You really want to kind of use it to jump in and out, use its breath attacks. It cannot use them when it's engaged in melee. So you kind of have to use the breath attack as you engage, find a good target, let it fight for a little while, take some damage, pull it out of combat, regen it, use another breath attack. It's a very fickle unit in that way. The Knights of the Ebon Claw spent the whole battle chasing down my little squirrely goblin squad. And at the end of the battle, I mean, these were all still very usable units, and the Knights of the Ebon Claw were basically gone. I was also able to kite out pretty effectively the Sons of Goros. So the Crimson Killers got to do some decent damage in the front line. They had some pretty heavy engagements. And the Durkut Squid Hoppers and the Moon Howlers I kept pretty heavily in reserve until the moment was right, and then I was able to hit certain units in the back with them, and then also use the Durkut Squigs to shut down the Dark Elf players' Bolt Fiends, which are pretty scary armor-piercing missile units. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's 2v2. I have one more coming at you. I probably should have took my time and done some slow-mos on this. I'll work on that for the next one. It's pretty great to see these units duking it out with each other in a way that you don't normally get to see. I think one of the keys to our success also was the Hammer of Gork, 123 kills. Probably the most kills in the game as I'm checking it and kind of thinking about it. Yeah. Wow. The Hammer of Gork, which also sunders armor, I believe, and applies a leadership debuff. I could be wrong about the sundering armor part, but firing the pretty much non-stop at the Blades of the Blood Queen really negated the powerhouse unit that this is, and then eventually putting it onto the Bolt Fiends kept them from advancing in any meaningful way. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Once again, my name is Brett. My channel is Good Talk Gaming, and I can't wait to bring you more of these Total Warhammer 2 videos. And thanks for watching my channel, guys. I will see you in the next one.